Live from Washington, D.C., Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now. And now, Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Sekulow.
All right, we're talking about the president putting forward regulation to stop $60 million of funding to Planned Parenthood. Very straightforward, although inch and a half of regulation to get there. Fans expecting 10,000 or hundreds of thousands of comments, and then I'm expecting litigation. So we're going to have to fight for this, but we're going to get it. We've won this before back in the 90s. We'll win it again, but very straightforward. It says that none of the funds appropriated under Title X shall be used in programs where abortion is a method of family planning. Now, this doesn't take away the $400 million from Planned Parenthood. It takes away $60 million. But you have to understand something. We said this earlier. Planned Parenthood is doing everything they can, not just them, the other abortion agencies, everything they can to not stand for life. And when I say that, and Logan talked about this earlier, imaging. There are a lot of states that have passed a law saying, you know what, informed consent requires the ability for an ultrasound so that the mother, when making an informed decision, understands what they're exactly doing, because they try to describe it as a bunch of the child as a bunch of cells, but the imaging has progressed, you said in 3 years, light years.
Oh, yeah, it changes every time that I see one of our friends as a baby that go in, and you'll see, I mean, our producer Will said he was getting 3D imaging at 8-9 weeks. So, I mean,
8-9 weeks.
Yeah, so I mean, that's where, I mean, at 20 weeks, you're almost to viability at that point.
Yeah, right.
So this is where things have changed.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't want, I mean, again, Cece, they don't want that. I mean, they fight that.
That's right, because the statistics prove that over 80% of women who actually see their baby change their mind and don't want an abortion. So that hits Planned Parenthood very hard, and they do not want that. And that's why they fight that so hard.
Yeah, and they do fight it hard. We have to go to, we're in like state-by-state fights on that one. All right, let's go back to the phones.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to Marcia, who's calling in Minneapolis on line 6.
Hi, Marcia, go ahead.
Hi, Jay. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I wonder if you could clarify something for me. How does the Hyde Amendment fit into this? Because I have been told that precludes federal money from abortion.
Actually paying for the abortion itself. I mean, this is the
money moving around.
Yeah, the money, the accounting mechanisms. It's why this proposed rule is necessary, Marcia, is because it specifically says you have to have a physical and financial separation. So they have to be that clear, the federal government. You can't be at the same facility. You can't have the same staff. You can't use the same pot of money and then account for it, because that's how they've gotten around the Hyde Amendment and allowed all this funding to go to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood just has to go back and say, we need this reimbursement for this. We need this reimbursement for that. And it's providing half their budget. So, I mean, this is, again, you're propping up. It's again, $1 billion a year industry with federal money. This chips at it, as we said, and it does it in a way where the president doesn't have to rely on Congress, which has not been very reliable, let's be honest, when it comes to getting the defunding done. They talk a big game. They had it right on the line. And the House of Representatives has not been the issue. It's been the U.S. Senate, where there's a lot of Republicans who are not a lot, but a handful, who are not that pro-life and teeter on this issue. But let's be clear real quick. Not to be partisan, but the Democrats literally send out an email saying, stand with Planned Parenthood. I mean, that's the subject line of the Democrat National Committee's fundraising email, stand with Planned Parenthood. Yep. So all those primaries that are going on right now, when you're seeing that, think about what the party is saying. Not, they keep talking about how they're limiting who they're going after and they're running more moderate candidates and this and that. The DNC is using it as a fundraising issue.
Sure.
And they're putting Planned Parenthood in the subject.
Yeah, but this is because they worship at the. I'm just saying this. I've said this before. Understand the abortion industry. That's their religion. They worship at the altar of abortion, and that's the horrific nature of what this is. If you don't believe me, listen to Nate Rao's words. They completely change what this is all about. Listen, this is Lisa Hogue from the National Abortion Rights Action League.
Not only does this limit service and have devastating healthcare effects, in fact, counter to what they say their goal is, but what should really send a chill up people's spines is that this is massive government overreach into the kind of information that we can receive from our medical professionals. And that is because they know if women have the truth about our options, their agenda folds. And we've seen them looking for ways to lie and deceive women.
100% completely incorrect. These are groups that fight, as I said, a ultrasound, a informed consent. You'd have to have more consent to get a tooth removed than you do to have an abortion. So this is, it's less knowledge is what they want. I mean, Cece, you've seen that in these crisis pregnancy center cases we've had. We've been litigating those cases for 30 years. We're at the Supreme Court right now waiting for a decision to come down.
Right.
But that's what they fight us on, every one of these, unrelenting.
Yeah, lie and deception. She's saying we're fighting to lie and deceive women. Planned Parenthood, the whole name itself, even Planned Parenthood, they're not planning any parenthood. They're stopping any parenthood.
All right, we've got a lot more ahead on this issue and real battle ahead on this as well, I might add. And we're going to need your name on this petition that is going to be going with our comments. So we want to be able to say that there are so many people that have signed on to our comment section because we're expecting Planned Parenthood. And you heard what Dan's saying. I mean, it could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the other side of this. So you signing on to say we support this change, what the president's put in place here on the pro-life side, will make a difference. The number is 1-877-989-2255 to sign on to that petition. 1-877-989-2255. I encourage you to do that. Now, you can also, of course, go to aclj.org. That's aclj.org and sign it that way.
The fight to protect life is intensifying. Now, with the Trump administration at the helm, efforts are ramping up to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider.
In reality, what abortion is the taking of an unborn child's life.
Planned Parenthood receives hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars each year. And at the ACLJ, we're working with the Trump administration and members of Congress to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood.
America will look back on this season in history and will be mortified about what happened in the abortion industry.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We're aggressively fighting on Capitol Hill to stop funding big abortion. The time to do that is right now. Add your name to our petition to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or you can add your name online, aclj.org.
We put together a pro-life film called Abortion, Inc. Take a look at the trailer.
In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
I'm proud to be here today speaking on behalf of Planned Parenthood.
I think what we need to look at is the business of abortion.
This is how many abortions need to be sold.
An organization is chopping up children and selling the body parts.
They've been caught red-handed.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We really did treat women like second-class citizens.
Planned Parenthood really is Abortion, Inc.
They believe that they're doing a service. Well, that child is in a surgical tray.
I would tell you that child has value.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world.
Now, let's go right back to the phones.
Let's go to Charlotte, Littleton, Colorado. You're on the air.
Hi, Charlotte. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi. Thank you so much for helping with this victory. I'm so thankful for this victory. My husband is a business owner, and when funding for abortion started to happen, I was heartbroken, and, several employees sought other insurance as well, but, it made me feel complicit in murder, and we actually talked about retiring.
No, you had the insurance mandates that had abortion. Remember, Obamacare had nothing to do with abortion, Than. Remember that line? And then we read the 4-inch thick bill on that and regulations, and it was all about abortion.
It had nothing to do with abortion, except it had everything to do with abortion because it was actually mandated as part of the coverage. And then the regs that came out of HHS, Jay, they were the exact opposite of the regs that we're now seeing come out of HHS, which were slush funds for abortion. The one thing I would say to that caller, too, the domino effect of this money fungibility, Jay, what it does is it frees up their donors to actually donate directly to their political action funds. Those political action funds turn around and support candidates who come to Washington, D.C. and advocate for exactly the kind of thing that you're talking about. Free and unfettered access to abortion and federal dollars for them. So don't be deceived. It's a political issue for them.
No, I was going to say it's a huge political issue, and it's a political issue they're running on.
No, I mean, they're running on specifically Planned Parenthood. I think that's how political it's got. They don't want to put, of course, their subject line, stand for abortion. I don't think the Democrats want to go that far. But they have gotten to the point where they are promoting as a political party an organization, an abortion organization. And so they do that on their subject line. It shows you how interconnected, when it comes to nationally, the Democrat Party is with the abortion industry. And so their lobbyists and their political action committees, like Than said, have done a really good job of basically taking over 50% of American politics right off the bat, because you've got one of the two major American political parties. And they even do a decent job of getting at those moderate Republicans as well, in the Northeast especially, that we see, who are at least tepid. They at least are tepid in taking any action. So they've done an incredibly good job, even with the science that is, and you think with the technology, at staying, one, relevant and keeping their funding.
Yeah.
You'd think that with the science and technology that exists now, that it would be a lot tougher for Planned Parenthood. But when you're $1 billion a year industry and you're able to hand out millions of dollars of PAC money to politicians, and you got the Democrat Party sending out your emails for you, well, then you're in a decent place. And so this is a big fight. It's a big fight every step of the way.
All right, Logan, do we have time for a comment or a call? We got 2 minutes left before the break.
Let's go to Robert in Maryland very quickly online too, and give us a call at 1-800-684-3110.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah, hi, Jordan. Hi, Jay, and hi, Logan. I wanted to ask all three of you, with this regulation being issued by President Trump that cuts off Title X funding to go directly to Planned Parenthood because they're involved in family planning that includes abortion, do you believe that this is going to build momentum for the defunding of Planned Parenthood in both the House and the Senate?
Yeah, okay, so you asked the question that we talked when we had our pre-planning meeting. This is the question that we addressed. And look, there's a fight on this. I'll go to Jordan and Than on this. If the will was there to do it, you could get it done because this president would sign it, but you got to have the will to do it.
You've got to have the House and the Senate. They've got to be there. So this will come down to our president is willing to do it. He said he'll sign the defunding of Planned Parenthood. We have a lot of elected officials in the House and Senate that said they're willing to do it, but not yet. We have not seen a majority. Now we have the midterms coming up. It's mostly in the House, that's everybody. In the Senate, it's mostly Democrats, but there's some Republicans as well. So it would take probably a few flips in the Senate and maintaining the majority that we've seen in the House, who has already passed the defunding a number of times.
Yeah, Dan, what do you think?
If every U.S. senator that campaigned as being in favor of defunding Planned Parenthood voted that way, they would already be defunded. But at 2 a.m. just a few months ago, some of them ran away from their campaign promises. That's why they're still getting that $400 million. Yeah,
there you have it. And thank you. That is exactly the truth. So you got to hold them accountable. All right, we're going to be in our last segment of the broadcast. That's when we take your phone calls, as many calls as we can take. Logan's to let you know how you can engage with us.
That's right. You can give us a call at 1-800-684-3110. Again, that's 1-800-684-3110. To be a part of the show, you can also find us, like I said, broadcasting online, Facebook.com/JSekulow, Periscope, and Twitter at JSekulow. Once again, though, a couple lines are open, 1-800-684-3110.
Don't forget also, we've got a case pending at the Supreme Court for life, right? Expect a decision in the next 3 or 4 weeks. All right, we've got a lot more ahead on this issue, and real battle ahead on this as well, I might add. And we're going to need your name on this petition that is going to be going with our comments. So we want to be able to say that there are so many people that have signed on to our comment section because we're expecting Planned Parenthood. You heard what Dan's saying. I mean, it could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the other side of this. So you signing on to say we support this change, what the president's put in place here on the pro-life side, will make a difference. The number is 1-877-989-2255 to sign on to that petition. 1-877-989-2255. I encourage you to do that. Now, you can also, of course, go to aclj.org. That's aclj.org and sign it that way.
The fight to protect life is intensifying. Now, with the Trump administration at the helm, efforts are ramping up to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider.
In reality, what abortion is the taking of an unborn child's life.
Planned Parenthood receives hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars each year. And at the ACLJ, we're working with the Trump administration and members of Congress to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood.
America will look back on this season in history and will be mortified about what happened in the abortion industry.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We're aggressively fighting on Capitol Hill to stop funding big abortion. The time to do that is right now. Add your name to our petition to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or you can add your name online, aclj.org.
When a woman gets pregnant, their motherly instincts just kick right into gear. It's how we're wired, it's how we're created, and I short-circuited mine.
I still remember staring up at that bright light and counting backwards from 10.
It was very, very painful. I've never felt pain like that in my life. I remember the nurse giving me sedation, and she just kept rubbing my arm, shushing me.
I didn't want the baggage because I had a vision for my life, and it didn't include children.
When I found myself pregnant, Roe v. Wade had just happened. It was all in the news. I called my doctor. He said, no problem. We can take care of it.
I was told that it was just a blob of tissue. I wasn't given any choices as far as ultrasounds or why don't you go home, think about it, and then come back. Nothing like that. There was nothing positive.
When I stood up, and I fainted. I think I fainted because of the horror of what I had done. I realized that I was missing a large part of me.
I actually ended up being pretty volatile and got a little physical with the nurse. I slapped her across the face. And I remember because I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know. They don't let you walk back out the front. There's a private exit. And later on in life, I wondered, had I seen someone like me in the state I was in at that moment after that abortion walk out, back out the front clinic, maybe I wouldn't have done it.
We're talking about the issue of important one, $60 million not going to Planned Parenthood and related organizations. Why? Because, and this is important to understand, because the president has issued regulations through HHS, actually, saying no more of this. It's restating a policy that was around in the 1970s to say basically this. When it comes to if your facility's engaged in abortions, referring abortions, you're not able to get the money. Period. That's the decision. Now, it's going to be challenged in a comment section. We will win that challenge because the law will go into effect. We're going to be filing briefs in support of that. And then it's going to go to federal court, and CC, they are going to be even $60 million is not $400 million, which is the other money they get through Medicaid reimbursements, but they will fight for this.
Absolutely. We've seen it every single time. We've done this in different states, and Planned Parenthood will rally their troops And we have seen public comments come in by, tens of thousands in states. I think Than's probably right. It could be hundreds of thousands of public comments that they have come in. So we really need people to join with us and sign our petition when we get it up to help us with our public comment.
President also raised, and we'll go to calls in a moment here, that he wants a 20-week, post-20-week federal ban on abortions. This is like the partial birth abortion ban, but not just for that procedure. Take a listen to what he said.
We're also seeking passage of the 20-week abortion bill, which would end painful late-term abortions nationwide. The House just passed the bill, but Democrats in the Senate are doing everything within their power to block it, although some are actually on our side, but they are working overtime to block it.
And this is because what Jordan was talking about earlier, folks, they are already, the fundraising letters are already out on this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, from the DNC, it's pretty unique to see an actual national party. It wouldn't be weird for Republican parties to stand for life.
But they're not saying that in their RE. Regarding subject line is not.
They don't want to put abortion, so they put the key word. It's the word that everybody knows, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on. You say Planned Parenthood, if you're speaking to their audience, it means standing up for abortion, without having to put those words, because they don't want to have to do that. They still are a bit ashamed. See, we could put our subject line, stand for life, stand against abortion, but stand up for abortion. I think that the Democrats probably won't. I say that, who knows? Probably wouldn't put that in their subject line. But so they'll put Planned Parenthood as the word. It's the whistle to everybody on their side of the aisle to say, we are, as a national party, regardless of what you hear about these primary elections with some of these moderate candidates, we as a national party, when they get to Washington, D.C., the party line, and if Nancy Pelosi becomes Speaker of the House again, the party line is standing up with Planned Parenthood on every vote. And that means standing against life every piece of the way. Like you said, common sense regulations and reforms against those as well.
All right, let's go ahead.
Ignoring science and technology.
All right, let's take some calls.
All right, Michael in California, you're on the air.
Hey, Michael, go ahead.
Hi, Jay. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
I'd like to say hello to all the veterans across America.
Yep.
As a former ops specialist with the Navy Expeditionary, I say we need to mobilize because the Democrats have really duped the people by a shell game with this money. They don't seem to understand, America doesn't seem to understand that when they say they aren't funding abortions, that if you give $100 million to an organization, and we're giving them over 400, that if they have $100 million to admin and then the rest is going to something else and they're taking money in from other places, all we've allowed them to do is to pay their admin costs so they could divert money into the abortion.
Yeah, well, Than calls it the fungibility issue, and that's what this is. Than?
Yeah, and Michael's absolutely correct on this, but this is actually one of the beautiful things about this regulation, Jay. That won't be enough for them in this case because in their application, they have to demonstrate that they actually have physical, that means a different facility, physical separation between their family planning services and their abortion services. And if they don't, Jay, they can't get this $60 million in the first place. Guess what Planned Parenthood does not have? Physical separation. So in this case, Creative County, fungibility, it's not going to be enough for them.
All right, let's go ahead. Taking some more. Try to get these last calls in here. I think we can at 1-800-684-3110.
Let's go to Cecily in Dallas, Texas on line 6.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, Jay. Thank you so much for taking my call. Yep. As a concerned citizen, I am wanting to know basically how do we help secure this regulation, number one, and two, how do we find out exactly who it is that is voting against these things?
All right, so on securing the regulations, here's the process. So the regulations been put out for comment, so there's a comment period. We are going to have to prepare formal comments, which we will, on the constitutionality of this and the policy reasons why this is a good idea. At the end of that period of time, then the regulation will go into place. We're going to win the comment debate. But, Cece, they're going to go to court because this is what Planned Parenthood does and NARAL. They're going to challenge this and try to tie up the regulations so they can keep getting the money. They've done this at the state level. They're going to do it at the federal level.
Absolutely. We've seen this over and over at the state level. We've fought these cases at the state level, and we've been pretty successful. But we see they change their language, they change their messaging, and they just implement it somewhere else. And just like Jordan has said over and over, they change their messaging and what they say even in their emails because they know abortion is not the popular term now, especially when 6 out of 10 Americans oppose federal funding of abortion right now. So they use Planned Parenthood, they use reproductive services, they change their position, but they are going to fight for it till the end.
All right, let's try to grab the last call, Logan.
Let's go to Ann in Pennsylvania on line 5. Ann.
Hey, Ann, go ahead.
Hi, my question was that you were saying that if all the people that were standing against the Planned Parenthood, the defunding of Planned Parenthood,
that ran on it.
We would already have it would already have been passed. So,
if you took the people that ran on a pro-life platform of defunding Planned Parenthood and they just voted what their ad said, we would have won this.
Yeah, so you have people like Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, John McCain, who was really one of those critical votes the last time around, and then Susan Collins. Susan Collins, who kind of is one of those moderates who has played this kind of both ways, maybe not doesn't run the ads as strong. But then, I mean, ultimately you've got that handful that round. But there always seems to be that 2 or 3 on the Republican side we're talking about that scuttle this.
You're exactly right on the Republican side. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and John McCain, they were the ones that took a walk on this bill. But I'll tell you this, the president brought up the late-term abortion ban.
Yep.
There were a bunch of Democrats, Jay, who ran as pro-lifers. They were the ones that blocked cloture on that. So both sides of the aisle, you got to make sure they're consistent.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for the broadcast today. Let me encourage you to do something. We are in a real fight on this issue. I mean, it is a significant fight. So what we need to do, it's very important that we be able to take this position forward. We're expecting, you heard what Than and Jordan said, hundreds of thousands of comments coming in on the other side of this against this restriction of the $60 million to Planned Parenthood. We've got to be prepared to meet that. We're going to do that legally. You can sign on to our position paper in favor of this new regulation. You could do that by going to aclj.org. That's aclj.org, or calling us at 1-877-989-2255. That's aclj.org or 877-989-2255. We'll see you next week.
The fight to protect life is intensifying. Now, with the Trump administration at the helm, efforts are ramping up to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider.
In reality, what abortion is the taking of an unborn child's life.
Planned Parenthood receives hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars each year. And at the ACLJ, we're working with the Trump administration and members of Congress to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood.
America will look back on this season in history and will be mortified about what happened in the abortion industry.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We're aggressively fighting on Capitol Hill to stop funding big abortion. The time to do that is right now. Add your name to our petition to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or you can add your name online, aclj.org.